Welcome to Beyond Bridge, the podcast where courage meets community. We shine a light on the stories, science, and support that define the breast cancer journey. From survivors and thrivers to doctors and advocates, we're here to share real conversations, expert insights, and the hope that carries us forward. Whether you're newly diagnosed, a lifelong fighter, or walking alongside someone you love, this is your space, your voice, and your story. I am here today on Bridge, and I'm talking with Dwayne Adams and Beyonka Adams. And we're talking about the support that Beyonka received from her husband as she was going through her treatment and diagnosis for breast cancer. So this segment is going to be all about support. So Dwayne, thank you for coming in and having a conversation. So share with the audience, your reaction to your wife's diagnosis and how you went through that cancer journey with her.
Yeah, absolutely. Initially, it just was a state of shock. Just realizing, wow, we couldn't believe that she was being diagnosed with this. And it went from shock to, okay, now we're going to, we're going to hug, we're going to cry, we're going to pray, and we're going to figure out how we're going to get through this together as a family. And I knew that she was scared. And I had to make sure that I was being strong, even though I didn't fully understand everything that was going on at the time. But just trying to be a support system for her, as she was going through it. And we really didn't know what to expect, but we knew that we had to stick together. We had to pray and we had to fight and we had to, make sure that we get through this. Not make sure, but knowing that we're going to get through it.
So what specifically did you do?
There were many times, when everyone was asleep and in the bed that I was just up in the middle of the night just praying, asking God for clarity, asking him to help give me the strength to help my wife, help the family, because not only was it affecting me, it was affecting our children. They weren't necessarily saying things, but I was watching their behaviors, watching their feelings and everything, and just, reassuring them and letting them know that mom was going to be okay and we all were going to be okay. So for me, it was just the self-talk. It was the assurance that she was going to get through. And then sometimes I was just quiet, just letting her vent. There were certain days where she was just tired. There were certain days where her emotions were a lot. And so I just realized that sometimes me being there supporting her was just me being there. That was half of the battle. Some days I didn't know what to say. Some days I'm like, what's wrong? And I just realized, that I just needed to just sit there or be in the room while she was going through and dealing with a lot of her emotions. So, for me, the biggest thing was just being there.
So, Beyonka, I'm listening to your husband, who is a gorgeous man. How do you receive what he just said?
Well, I guess it's interesting him talking about being up, when everybody sleep. Like, I didn't know that, So I knew he was praying, but you just don't think about it. When you're going through stuff, you don't think about, it's hard to, think about what your partner, experience from their side. Because you, of course, have your experiences, but not knowing, what their thoughts are, is he thinking, Lord, like, she got to make it. I can't, I need, so it's good to hear that and just to know.
Yeah, it is very enlightening and very inspirational to hear that coming from a husband's perspective. Now, I want to ask, and it's a little bit of an intimate question, and we don't have to delve deep into it, but Beyonka had a mastectomy. Mm-hmm. What did you think about that? How did that make you feel? And what was your reaction to her missing, as I see it, because I'm missing a body part too. How did you react to her missing a body part?
In all transparency, I can think of one of my good friends who went through this with his wife, and we were talking about it, and he kind of gave me the analogy, and he was saying that, when your spouse goes through something like that, think about if that were you, and you were going through something, and you were losing your body part. How would you feel? How would you want them to feel? How would you react? And that kind of stuck with me. So it was just like, it's still the same person. You're still the same person. It's just support. And I realized through that process there that, when we talked about the surgery, what was going to happen, what was not going to happen, what she felt comfortable with, that at the end of the day, it was her body. And it was her choice on what she wanted to do. Yes, she asked me for my input, but it was her choice. And I had to support her, and it wasn't going to change my feelings, my love and stuff towards her, but I wanted to make sure I was being a support system for her in whatever decision that she was going to choose, because ultimately this was something that she was going to have to live with, and it was going to be on her body, with her temporarily, as we said. So for me, it was just kind of finding a way to support her in the midst of all of that. It was a little tough, but wanted to make sure that I support her and she felt valued and loved, and it wasn't like, I'm not affectionate or losing of love or lack of love because of this temporary setback.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
And I'll say too, like,
Okay.
I don't feel uncomfortable. Like if I take my shirt, take my shirt off or come out the shower, something like that. Like I don't feel like I need to hide. You know what I'm saying? Like he's never made me feel like I need to hide or that I don't look, because he's still like, hey, he still calls me beautiful, all that stuff. So it's like I never felt, that he saw me any differently or that, was turned off by, me not looking the same as I did before.
Did you all join any support groups, either individually or as a couple, as you were going through this journey together?
We didn't really have any support groups, but through some of the organizations that Beyonka was involved in, I did have a few talks with some husbands that were going through it, and kind of had some conversations and some encouragement. One of the big things, the person that I leaned on, like I said, was one of my best friends. He had went through it about a year prior with his wife. So that was a great support system for me as far as my mental and as far as bouncing questions off of him, as far as just the whole experience and, realizing that everyone's situation is different, but at least giving me a base to go off of, and so that was kind of our support. We didn't have, I encourage support. I think it's good. After talking to a lot of men, like a lot of issues that we deal with, we just don't talk about things. And so when I talk to a lot of those men, they're like, man, I didn't know you went through that. I went through that too. Or, man, how did you deal with, your wife and being that, so it opened up a lot of dialogue for us to talk about our feelings and how to support and how to just, for me, I said at the beginning of the interview, just being there. I think that's half of the battle. Being there is half of the battle. It's not all of the battle, but a lot of times we don't know how to just be there. And once you're there, then, everything else can kind of work itself out and you can kind of navigate through whatever way the journey takes us. But if we're not there, we can't be there to hold, to walk, to hug, to push, to lean on, when they're going through it. So
you have 2 children.
Yes.
And how did they navigate this with you? What did you tell them, or what didn't you tell them? Or I can only imagine, because I can recall how my son, but he was 3 at the time, so it's a little bit different. You all had older children, so what were they experiencing? Can you talk a little bit about what you think they were going through as you were navigating?
I remember just kind of having conversations with them, and my initial conversation was, hey, I need you guys to help me so we can help Mom. I said, Mom is just going, we were honest with them. We sat them down, we told them, hey, Mom's been diagnosed with breast cancer. She's going to be okay. She's going to make it. But she needs support right now. She needs help as she goes to the doctors, as she gets this treatment to be better for all of us. So we just all just have to kind of work together. And, and my son, he's very inquisitive. So he was like, well, Dad, what does that mean? And I kind of give him a little bit, not too much, but, telling him, and of course, my daughter, she's 13, so she's teenager, so she knows, everything. And she's like, we're going to make it, Dad. We're going to support. But just kind of letting them know that this, is a temporary thing that we're dealing with. But collectively as a family, we're all going to get through it. And, I think it's just it's a support system. I keep going back to that because they were part of the support system as well, but I had to sit them down, or we had to sit them down. And there were a lot of conversations I had when Beyonka wasn't around. Hey, I need you guys to help me so I can help Mom. Mom's not going to be able to do this today. Mom's not, going to be feeling well. So if y'all help me, we'll help Mom. And, when she's feeling energetic or feeling like she has some more energy, we'll all, be able to do some things. So just kind of just really just letting them know that this is something that's, yes, it has, not hiding it. It has taken place, but it's temporary, and collectively work together, we'll be able to get through it.
That's great.
Yeah, my son, it was like after my surgeries, and I know things, he'll always come check on me. Mom, you okay? You need anything? So they were supportive as far as, just trying to do, help around the house, and understanding like there's some things that we can't do, like I'm not gonna be able to do, like I can't go, certain places, depending on, especially if I just had chemo, or something like that, like we may be at the house, for a little bit. So I think they took it really well, and really wanted to help.
Well, we're going to end it there, and I just want to say that y'all's story is just really inspirational and encouraging, and you both look well. I know you have had a battle, Beyonka, physically, because it was you. And Dwayne, you had a battle too, because this is your wife, the love of your life. And you're like, I want her here to be with me. And so, but the love that I see between the two of you, and the support that you have given her, and the support that you said that the children, it is just wonderful. Y'all look great. I mean, you don't look like what you've been through, right?
That's right.
It's really great. Well, thank you both for being a part of this. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Beyonka, and thank you, Dwayne Adams. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Beyond Bridge, a place of strength, support, and shared stories. If the conversation touched your heart, be sure to share it with someone walking this journey. And always remember, you are not alone. God walks with you, even in the valleys. Lean on His promises, trust His timing, and never lose hope. Until next time, may you be covered in grace, filled with courage, and surrounded by love. I am Jacqueline Anthony. For all of us at Bridge, thanks for joining the conversation.